this Wimbledon, the news is no news, no big upsets. For the first time in 66 years, the top 4 seeds are in the semifinals. Seeded number 4, Germany's enigmatic Boris Becker, 3-time champion, has regained past form. He's playing the fiery tennis that produces championships. He's the 3rd seed American Jim Courier. His baseline game has its limitations on grass, but his champion's heart could take him right to the final. Number 2, twice a Wimbledon winner, Sweden's steady Stefan Edberg has quietly advanced, bending without being broken. And the world number 1 American Pete Sampras, though injured, is pushing past the pain, paying the price in quest of a glorious prize. Championship, Wimbledon. The All-England Lawn Tennis and Croquet Club bathed in sunshine once again. The men's semifinals on this Friday features 2 former Wimbledon champions and 2 aspiring young Americans seeking their first title here. And just 10 minutes ago, Boris Becker left the locker room to look out on famed center court. 8 years ago, he won the title, age 17, the youngest ever, reflecting deep in thought, mesmerized, if you will. Now, introducing our first match today, features serve and volley high-power tennis, Pete Sampras against Becker. The road to a 2nd straight Wimbledon semifinal has not been easy for the top seed Sampras. Too often casual and understated, Sampras showed rare emotion in beating Britain's Andrew Foster, reportedly cursing at a partisan crowd after the match.
Heard by a number of courtside photographers to shout, "Thank you very much, take that you mother," as you hit the ball high into the crowd.
Well, I mean, obviously, they didn't hear what I said.
What did you say then?
I said, thank you very much, and God bless you, you know. See you later. Hasta la vista. Get the hell off the court.
The irritation of a strained right shoulder has made it tough on Sampras, and after losing a 2-set lead, he could have folded in his quarterfinal match with Andre Agassi. But instead, he showed a mental toughness many thought was missing, and beating Agassi may have taken his building confidence to its highest level. He's just 2 matches away from absolute proof he is the world's number 1. 3-time champion Boris Becker hasn't won here since 1989, and he's struggled the last few years.
1-0.
But few doubt Becker still has the tools to win a 4th Wimbledon title. And this fortnight, he's shown the desire we remember in a younger Boris. Becker appears once again hungry for glory on grass. His hurdle today, the 21-year-old American, Pete Sampras. And we welcome you to Fame Center Court with Bud Collins, 3-time champion John McEnroe, 8 times in the semifinals here. For the American interest, there is a possibility on the 4th of July, breakfast at Wimbledon Sunday. We could have Sampras and Courier, 2 Americans, but they are not the favorites. Edberg and Becker are today.
Well, Dick, as you know, Stefan Edberg and Boris Becker both won Wimbledon titles. Boris 3 times, Stefan 2. The Americans have their hands full, but I like their chances today. I think they're the 2 best players in the world right now, and I'm picking them to get through to the finals.
How can Sampras beat Becker?
Well, everything's going to hinge on the serve. Who serves better, who's more consistent off the second serve, who can mix things up better, keep the other person off guard. And also, as we showed earlier, Boris Becker's going to need to keep his composure, but I think Pete will be well served if he shows a little bit more emotion. Not an Andre Agassi type personality, but just a little more than we're used to seeing.
Becker, 8 years ago, Bud, we watched him 17 years of age to
What
win
a
this.
wonderful moment that was. But I want to say to John, isn't the return just as important as the serve? Do you think that Sampras can show, as he did against Agassi, that chip return on Boris's feet? Sampras has not taken the grass as quickly as Boris, but can he start doing that now?
Well, that's a good point, because that's where Pete Sampras has struggled on grass. He hasn't really returned that well. Andre Agassi didn't put much pressure on him off the serve.
That's right.
I think there's going to be obviously a lot more pressure. Boris is going to be coming in on both serves. You're right. Who gets more returns into play is going to be a big factor.
How about nerves?
I think nerves will play a big part. Boris has been here 6 times in the finals. Pete's is only his 2nd semifinal appearance. But he's been around before. He's won a U.S. Open. He's been in some big occasions. I don't think nerves will play a major factor.
But any other sidebars?
Well, I think Becker is much more comfortable with himself than we've seen. Remember that 2 years ago, marching around, neek. He was the Hamlet, the soliloquies on center court. Now he's engaged to Barbara Feltus. He's 25, and I think that he's got everything in shape. And he's going to be awfully difficult to beat.
Well, I think that what we've seen in the past is that when he gets upset, unlike some other people who I won't mention names and maybe, well, I'll mention a couple, but not mine, Jimmy Connors and Pancho Gonzalez, that it seemed to help them at times. With Boris Becker, I've never seen him play a match when he got upset, he played better. So he really needs to keep his composure.
Well, we're just moments away. They'll be making their appearance on this famed lawn at the All England Club. But back earlier today, the focal point, Pete Sampras. He has 2 questions. How well can he play against Becker, and how is the condition of that serving shoulder going to affect the match? Let's go to Hannah Storm for an update.
Well, that's right, Dick. There was some question as to whether or not Pete Sampras would even play in Wimbledon this year after suffering that strained right shoulder during his Wimbledon preparations 2 weeks ago. But Sampras has persevered, and earlier this morning we caught up with him as he left his hotel in downtown London. Sampras appearing focused on the task at hand, but actually quite relaxed this morning. Shortly after that, he arrived at the All England Club and had his injured shoulder treated with hot packs, electric stimulus, ultrasound, and massage. His coach, Tim Gullickson, told us this morning that Sampras feels fine for today's match. We asked Pete how he felt, and he said he has not had pain in that shoulder since his quarterfinal match against Andre Agassi on Wednesday. However, if that shoulder should trouble him again today, look for him to rub a deep heating balm on that shoulder during changeovers, as he has during his previous matches. We'll be right back for the start of Pete's match against Boris Becker when we return to Wimbledon.
Championship. Boris Becker's won it 3 times here. There's Becker, now 25 years of age.
2 minutes.
Raised in Lyman, West Germany, makes his home now in Monte Carlo. And here is his path to the semis.
Well, he's had a very interesting run to the semis, Dick. Mark Gollner, who is trying to take away his throne as the top gun in Germany. 4 sets in the first round. You remember Gollner got to the round of 16 in the French Open. A tough Russian, Alexander Volkov, straight set win. 3rd round, Jacob Lasik, a good grass court player from Switzerland. Someone I played in the finals of Davis Cup last year in 4 sets. Henri Leconte, one of the most talented players in the world. Very tough grass court player, semifinalist here in the past. 4 sets. And what Boris Becker called his biggest win of the year, defeating his countryman Michael Steek 6-4 in the 5th. This is actually a very tough draw to the semifinals. It's going to help him in this match, I believe.
Becker has recorded 82 aces in 5 matches. That leads all competitors. Sampras was 74, and let's take a look at the young American seeking his first Wimbledon title. Sampras, born in Washington, raised in Southern California, now makes his home in Bradenton, Florida.
A couple of Australians to start off with, and he lost his first set of the tournament in a breaker, 10-8 breaker to Neil Borwick. Jamie Morgan, a big server, didn't serve very big. Byron Black from Zimbabwe, an All-American at the University of Southern California, and he bothered Pete a little with his 2-fisted style on both sides. Then the young Brit, where there was a bit of a row out there because the crowd got on Sampras, but he wanted to get out, and he won that 3rd set tiebreaker, then dethroning the champion, Andre Agassi. And don't you think, John, that 2 sets up and then to drop the next 2 sets and pull himself together was a magnificent, gritty triumph for Pete Sampras?
Absolutely. I think it took his level of respect among the players, myself included. It's a whole new level, and it'll be a big boost for him. Should be a big boost against Boris today.
And he said every time he lost his serve in the 3rd and the 4th set, that's when the shoulder hurt. But then he said, I had to suck it up and just forget about it. I knew that there was no permanent damage going to happen to me, no matter what. He said it wasn't torn, so he just...
Well, he knew that in the 3rd set, too, but as you said, when he started losing and things started not going his way, that's when it started hurting more, so he's going to have to try to guard against this. We see here, Sampras has won the last 2 meetings. They've never met on grass, and they never met in a Grand Slam event. The rivalry has now officially begun.
For their last...
still here.
And the last thing that we saw there is that 6 of the last 15 sets have gone to a tie break, which is probably what we're going to see a couple more of today. Very difficult for either player to break.
Sampras, the youngest of the Final 4, currently ranked #1.
Dick, this means more to Pete Sampras than perhaps any other player because he's been ranked #1 for the last 3 or 4 months, but he's not really considered #1. And so in order for him to feel that he is the true #1, he wants to win a Grand Slam title.
Now Becker slipped down to #4 in the world. He was 6-6 in his matches prior to Wimbledon. He's had an off year until this fortnight. Sampras opens the semis.
Well, right away, Dick, there was that heavy second serve that you referred to back in the earlier rounds. Both possess very strong second serves. Not only is the first serve percentage going to be key, but where they place that second serve, how much of a chance, like Bud was saying before, are they going to get off the return?
Becker has been very within himself throughout the championship. And that's the nature of this young man, Sampras.
Well, there's something else I've noticed as we see this replay here that Pete Sampras has done throughout the championships, and that's take his time more. Pete had a tendency to play a little quickly at times. Even that last point, you saw him go way back behind the baseline, prepare himself for the next point. As you see here, hit a winner into the open court for a 40-love lead.
Game. And an ace to punctuate a solid start for young Pete Sampras. Sun beats down, temperature around 80 degrees. Pete Sampras, in anticipating this second week of Wimbledon, again reiterated it's not the serve that's going to win Wimbledon. He feels it's how well you return the serve.
Look at the past champion, Andre Agassi. He has the best return of serve in the game, and that just goes to show how important the return of serve is. And that was a shot I really struggled with my first couple years here. I really didn't return that well, and you know, you can definitely lose matches. You know, holding serve, you could lose 6-6 and 6. You remember Edberg a couple years ago, that happened to him. So, you know, Becker has a great return. Edberg, all the past champions, all return the serve well, and if I'm going to win it here, that's the shot that's going to do it.
So who will return serve best today?
Pete thought this first serve of the match by Boris Becker was long. Mishit the return, 15-love. I think the viewers are going to have to get ready for a lot of mishit returns in this match.
Not much grass left on that center court. In fact, it's all dirt just beyond the service line where they stop for the volley.
Well, the weather, as we've stated, has been so fantastic throughout the whole 2 weeks. But that's one of the things that it's going to do to the court. It's going to beat up the court a little more. And as you said, there's a lot of rough patches around that court. It's going to be a lot of bad bounces, especially in the second match.
Stefan Edberg and Jim Courier await in the second match, and there isn't time for the grounds crew to roll and even out any divots. Well, Sampras has the first point by the returner.
Here we see Boris Becker at net. Looked like he wanted to dive there, but the ball was too close to him.
Well, his elbows are skinned, his knees are skinned.